Hi again, thanks everyone for joining. I've got a few minutes of intro slides, so I think I'll take it away now, and then hopefully any latecomers will have joined by the time we head over to Marina. So welcome to our ASEG webinar series. My name's Kate Robertson. I am the President-elect for the ASEG. And I've just got a couple of housekeeping slides to go through. So I just wanted to take this chance to acknowledge our corporate members for the ASEG. So our corporate members contribute greatly to the society. They each year donate a financial contribution, and this goes towards the ASEG and also the ASEG Research Foundation. So the Research Foundation helps to support geophysics, honours, PhD and master's students. And as well, you know, they help to support the various things that we are able to do as a society, such as our publications and events. So thank you to our Corporate Plus members, iSeis, Total Seismic and VelSeis, and also to our corporate members, Archimedes Financial Planning, Southern Geoscience Consultants and Santos. I'd also like to thank our branch sponsors, and these are for each of the different state or territory branches of the ASEG, and these generally help to put on the local events that we hold. And at the moment, we're doing these via webinar, but we're greatly appreciative of all of the support from these sponsors. So just a little bit on the usage of Zoom. So at the end of Marina's talk today, we will have a Q&A session, and Marina greatly encourages questions, and I'll note now, but we will mention it again later, that we are recording this talk, but we'll be turning off the recording for questions, so it will allow everyone to speak freely. So we have a Q&A button at the bottom where you can type in your questions. You should be able to do that anonymously, but if not, I think if you just type, if that option doesn't pop up, just type that anon and then your question, and I'll make sure I don't say who asked it. The other option is you can do that by raising your hand at the end in the Q&A, and we can allow you to, we can unmute your microphone and you can ask it that way if you prefer. We have a few upcoming webinars scheduled as well. So we've got one tomorrow by Indrajit Roy, who will be speaking about computations methods in geophysics. So register now if you haven't already done so for that one. On the 23rd of July, we have Majaba Rajabi, who will be talking about contemporary crustal stress patterns of Australia. Sorry, there's a typo snuck in there in the name. On the 18th of August, we have a speaker from New Zealand, Alberto Ardid Segura, who will be speaking on lithologically constrained stochastic magnetotelluric inversion for imaging shallow conductors in geothermal fields. And if anyone was interested in doing a webinar or would like to suggest speakers, feel free to contact us. I also wanted to mention the member benefits for being an ASEG member. There's a big list of benefits that are here. I won't go through them all, but you do get free access to our Exploration Geophysics technical journal, and you get a free copy of Preview posted out to you as well, free entry to a lot of technical or social events that we hold, discounted entry to AEGC conferences, which are held every 18 months. Our next one's in Brisbane in September. Not to mention our wine offer, which is always popular. And we do have free membership for students and half price for retirees and recent graduates. And you can check out the contact details on our website for more information about those. And we do like to support students through our ASEG Research Foundation that I mentioned earlier, but also through travel scholarships to attend conferences or do fieldwork and things like that. And lastly, I'll put the social media, myself or Millicent Crowe, the communications chair, will put on the chat the links to all of our social media. So we try and keep that really up to date. Marina also helps do that, who will be speaking today. So go ahead and follow us if you want to know more about what we're up to and the latest geophysics and geoscience in general news. And so with that, I'll hand over to Marina in a second. So Marina is at Geoscience Australia currently, and she sorry. And her role is she's the director of the Onshore Seismic and Magnetotelluric section within the Mineral System branch at Geoscience Australia. And in 2018, she was the president of the ASEG. But I know in Marina's talk, she's going to introduce herself a bit more, so I'll let her do that. And so with that, I will turn off my video and hand over to Marina. Marina will be talking about mentoring and leadership in these times of change. And she's a great person to be speaking about this. I know she's a fantastic manager, leader, and mentor to so many people, including myself. So I hope you enjoy what she's got to say, and I'll see you all at the end.
Thank you, Kate. Can I just check that you can see what you should be able to see?
Yes.
Excellent. Look, everybody, welcome and thank you so much for joining us. How many people are here? It's amazing. And it's after 5, so I know that some of you have had to put the kids in the cupboard under the stairs, and the dog has to be outside for a little while. And the beer, I hope the beer and the wine is on the table with the cheese platter next to you, and I should have suggested that happen earlier. I think it's really important that professional development continues, even though we have our science expertise, and I know a lot of you are geoscientists, and this was advertised for geophysicists, but there's nothing special about us. It's not like we have 3 heads or, you know, 2.5 brains or anything. We're geoscientists. So welcome to everybody, if you're ASCG members or not. And I also know there's some people who aren't involved in geoscience at all. So welcome to you as well. We've got professionals, we've got my peers and colleagues, and a few managers as well online. So welcome and thank you for your time. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of all the lands on which we meet today, and pay my respects to elders past and present. I'd also like to extend that respect to any Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander people who are joining us today. I think as a society and as a geoscientist, I'd like to reach out to these people and ask, please contact me if you'd like to join our society, and I'll organise something for you that's a little bit different. We need to hear all the voices, and this is an area where we don't hear enough voices. So I'd like to encourage you to reach out to me. Today's talk, a little bit of a background, a little bit about me, because I want you to trust me. I want you to leave your ego, I want you to leave your judgment at the door. I want you to just imagine for a moment that most of what I say has some element of truth. That's the way you're going to get the most out of this. We have 10 tips to get through, so you'll find me rushing at times. Also, if you see me leave for a minute, it's just to get a glass of water, and Kate will pop on as well, just give you a bit of a warning if that happens. Look, everything that I'm going to talk to you about, the tools, the tricks, the tips, my super secret tip that you can't tell anybody, equally applies to mentoring as it does to leadership. A good leader is a good mentor. A good leader is a good coach. A good leader listens. So if you're here because you thought, oh, I'm not sure about mentoring, but I'll listen, but you're a leader of people, you're a leader of field parties, you're a leader of a cohort, and sometimes it's leadership of self. This translates to both leadership and mentoring. And then there's times for questions. Now, put the questions through as they come to you. Use the question and answer tab, and we'll cover those off at the end. And feel free to use the chat bar. I usually get a lot of cues from my audience, and at the moment I can't see anybody except my special helper who's sitting on the side, who's going to wave at me if I'm dribbling on too long and making no sense. So he might even give me a kick, which I hope that doesn't hurt too much. He just came 3rd in the Oceania Champions. It was an international competition in Taekwondo, so that's my son Harry, who's just sitting here. So I mentor him and he mentors me, and I've learned a lot from him. So that's a really important point as well. We can learn from anybody. So before we go any further, I have a disclaimer. This is my opinion, this is my experience, this is through research, it's information I've gleaned from doing lots of courses and testing and trying this out on my unsuspecting mentees. I've tried it out on myself. If it doesn't sound right to you, toss it away. There are 10 tips today that we're going to go through. They might not all work for you. I'm only human and you are too. So if you can forgive me for making any mistakes or anything you don't completely agree with or you think's a little bit off, absolutely fine. So the first poll, and that I'd love for you to answer, this is the first time I think we've tried these polls, and I don't know how it's going to tell me the answer either. So over to Kate to organise this. Do you have a mentor? What is a mentor? It can be a leader, a sounding board, a parent, director, partner, manager, peer, science guru, professor, friend, coach, a paid, organised, formalised mentor, well, basically a trusted human. So I'm loving that I can see the poll in progress. That's pretty good. And very few of you have realised that not having a mentor, most of you have got a mentor or a kind of mentor. It might not be a formal relationship, which is great. Might be informal, it might be micro, it might be, I've got a great mentor called Kim Frankham. I don't know if he knows that I call him a mentor, but I ask him just about anything. It's a 2-second email. He replies in 2 seconds, and I am always really grateful. So it can be micro mentoring, but you can actually go through a training course and be hooked up with a professional mentor. Fantastic. We'll end that polling. Thank you for sharing. Now, the next question, which we don't have a poll, share results. Is that where we go?
Would you like me to share the results,
yes,
Marina?
Yes, that'd be great. There we go. Most people have a mentor, even a kind of mentor. So those 14 of you had said, nope, I'm hoping by the end of the course or the workshop today, you either have decided one of the people you do use is a mentor, is a kind of a mentor, or that you go and find one. Now, how many mentors do I have? Conservatively, I'd say I have 10. Some of them don't know that they're my mentor. Some of them definitely do. And my mentors range in age from around 18 up to, let's just go older than 70 because, you know, for privacy reasons. And I use them in a range of you know, situations. Okay, Kate, if you want to close that polling, that'd be great. I'm not sure if everybody else can see that. It's all right, I'll do that.
I think it's all closed.
It's all good, excellent. Okay, so I'll just see if my screen will wake up. So I wanted to talk to you very briefly about my journey. There's a couple of reasons I want to talk about my journey. One is to show you that it's not always smooth sailing and it's not always unidirectional, it's not always up and it's not always easy. But I want you to understand where I've come from, my life experiences, and maybe that will help you understand why I'm here talking about this today. And also you might see some parallels in your life and go, it's okay, it's going to be okay. If that happened to Marina, it'll be okay. So I've had a really interesting career, and some of you have seen this before. I'm in the 1990s. I started at Sydney Uni, and I definitely, the only thing I knew when I finished doing my Geology and Geophysics degree was that I didn't want to work in an office. I wanted to be outside, out there doing work in the field. So fortunately, I got a job with Geoterics, which was CGG, now Fugro, doing airborne electromagnetics essentially, but I did do airborne magnetics, radiometrics, some ground gravity, yada, 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 interpretation, you have it. I worked in Canada, I worked in New Zealand, I worked in all around Australia. So I had a lot of great experiences. And then we had a sort of a crash, boom bust sort of cycle. And I realized that people got paid a lot of money to do about half the work I was doing in IT. Not saying that they don't work the full amount, but I had to be an IT expert as well as a geophysicist. So I could drop the geophysics for a few years and I went in and became an IT expert. I ran the back end processing of perpetual trustees, which meant I did all of everybody's superannuation in the late 90s, early 2000s. I went through Y2K, and I want to just let you know that that was a real thing, and a lot of people worked really hard to make sure it didn't happen, rather than I wasn't that a fizzer. It was great that it was a fizzer. I worked for Qbiotics, which is also Ecobiotics. It's a biopharmaceutical company where I did a little bit of soil science and I did a little bit of IT as well. And a professor up in James Cook University found out that I was living locally, and I did my master's at Mary Kathleen Uranium Mine, which was amazing because I got to do biogeochemistry, hydrogeochemistry, hydrogeology, geology, geophysics. I did a full, I felt like I did a little mini sort of project work on this mine site, which was an amazing experience. I started a company called Know a Bit because I thought I knew a bit about everything. But this is when I couldn't get a real job. I had a young son, I couldn't find childcare, and in those days it wasn't, you know, fashionable to work from home like it is now. So I had to do my own work from home. And I worked for a lot of companies at this stage. I wrote reports, did all sorts of things for many companies. One of them was ADFA, where I did training on near-surface geophysics, for example. Then I joined Geoscience Australia. Now I have had a long and interesting and varied career where I've done all sorts of things from nuclear monitoring, space with geomagnetic, the geomagnetic observatories, seismology, groundwater, mine site rehabilitation, policy development, minerals, exploration, geophysics, data acquisition. So a very, very broad range of different activities that I was involved in. And at the moment, I'm the director of Onshore Seismic and Magnetotellurics. And I'm hoping you're jumping in as well and seeing some of the Exploring for the Future program roadshows. And if you're not, go and check the website out, or just type in Exploring for the Future and you'll get the links. The work that we've done, in particular my team, around passive seismic, active seismic and magnetotellurics will blow your mind. So that doesn't matter if you're a geophysicist or not, it's being delivered in a way that everybody can understand. Really proud of the work that the team have done, and I feel very honoured to be a part of it. And that's where we are in 2020, in the new normal. The working from home, having the puppy dog and pussycat sitting on your knee, having the children doing their self-directed learning, maybe baking bread, going for long walks at lunch. The new normal. You know, we need a few more skills. We need to be thinking about. We can be really clever at our work. We need a little bit more extra help. The underlying levels of stress and anxiety that we're all feeling at the moment, especially if you had bushfires earlier in the year, we need to recognise those things and make a difference. Change things up a little bit. I'm going to talk to you about my career with the ASEG, or how we've worked together for a really long time as well. I think it's really important to show that you don't just work on your career as a deep domain scientist, that there are other things in the world, and other people will have a sporting career here, or a music career, or arts and crafts, and they're just as relevant. And with the ASEG, I've had so many opportunities, and I've knocked on doors and they've been open. So I started off as a branch member and went to conferences and things, and then I stopped. You know, I was doing all that IT work. I didn't keep joining the ASEG. I stopped. It wasn't until 2006-ish that I rejoined, worked with the local branch at Geoscience Australia for the ACT branch, held the various different positions there. And 2015, one of my wonderful mentors, who is no longer with us, Barry Drummond, pushed me very hard into joining the FedEx. Pretty big shove. And what a fantastic opportunity that was. I also undertook formal mentoring training at IPA, which is the Australian, forgotten what it is, so we can Google that later, but the Australian Institute of Public Administration, basically, and they run a really high level formal mentoring training session. I did that at that stage. But I've been mentoring people, you know, probably, you know, since those 1990 issues. I was very honoured to be asked to be the president of the society, and I did that in 2018 and survived. But also from there, it wasn't just an end. There was more doors opening, or more doors I knocked on. Where did I want to continue to have an impact for the ASEG? How did I want to amplify our message and the work we do? So I joined Science and Technology, and I'm on their Science and Technology Australia board, and I'm also a representative on the Australian Geoscience Council. There are a few other things. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but every one of these places, every one of these activities, every group of people that I met along the way have shared with me information that have made me a better person, have made me able to do a presentation like this, and everybody's had their little bit. I've taken a little bit on board of what they've learned, so I didn't have to go through all the same mistakes. So mentoring, don't wait so long to ask. I think that's probably the most important tip I'll give you. When you start going into a spiral, when things start to get difficult, when you're out in the ocean and you can feel the rip taking you out, don't wait until you look like this to ask for help. Advice, a tip. just to check in, do a health check. So it's probably my most important tip, and I've realised I've probably got more than 10 now. So what is mentoring? I'm going to jump over this pretty quick since most of you have a really good idea of what mentoring is, but it's about sharing knowledge, and it's a journey of shared discovery. The mentor learns and the mentee learns. There's never been a time when somebody's reached out to me and said, I need your help, and I've gone, ugh, God, just don't have time for that. I'm always a little bit excited to see what it is. Is it something I can help them with? Is this a new opportunity? Is this something I've got to learn and grow? I'm going to have to catch up on. And that's the kind of mentor you want to have. Somebody who's prepared to say, actually, I don't know, but we're going to work through this together. It's multifaceted. It can be formal, informal, and it changes and evolves as relationships develop. So a lot of my mentors really would consider themselves my colleagues or friends, sometimes family. Mentors care. And I think right now during COVID, the bushfires and the hail and the drought and, you know, all the other things that life, you know, hasn't stopped, life's continued. I think the care factor is something that's really important. We need to reach out and talk to people more than we've had to before. And I think those conversations need to be a little bit deeper. We have to assure people, not just mentees, but people that they're not alone. Okay, you're not alone. Nobody is alone. There are so many day-to-day challenges, and many people want to help. Just ask. Mentors help people understand their value. Your value. Your mentor can help you understand your value in this world, in your career, at this time, today, and help you value your strengths. Mentors, like I said, learn a lot from mentees, and a good mentor, unlike during this workshop, mentors usually do a lot of listening. You can be mentored on just about anything. Now I have a long list of here and I was going to keep going. I thought that was just silly. They can be technical, they can be emotional intelligence, they can be managerial, risk management, board, being on a board, how to do social media. You can do mentoring on just about anything that is work, career or life focused, but be very careful about asking for personal advice about relationships. That's definitely gets tricky. There is a line because sometimes your husband might be in the same team that you work and you need to get advice about how to work with people that are related to you, maybe cousins or brothers and sisters. So there is a line. And also the other line that we must be very, very mindful for is mental health. Mentors are not the right people to help you through your mental health journey. They can walk alongside you, and they should encourage you to go and seek professional help. And it's a very important line in the sand. Mentors also can't fix everything. We try, but we can't fix everything. A lot of the onus is on you when you've got a mentor. Mentor can show you tips and should shine light and make things easier. Why do we have a mentor? Because you get better at everything. You are better, life is easier, you improve your skills, your knowledge. You feel supported, you don't feel alone. You start to care for other people, you share those skills with other people. You set goals and it's easier to achieve those goals. You don't feel undervalued if you think somebody believes in you and they understand you. You don't look for that value from somewhere else externally. You understand that you've got it yourself. You improve the quality of your work, your family, your friends, your life, your community if you're feeling great. Again, leadership. If you've got those skills, all of these things, I'm just talking to a couple of different people here, that also helps. If you are a good leader who listens, who values, who cares, you have a huge leadership shadow that can really improve the life and well-being of many people around you, which makes your life easier. It's good for you. I want to make it very clear. Having a mentor, doing professional development, working on yourself and your team is good for you, and it's good for your company where you're working. It's good for your, if you're studying, it's good. Okay, so I'm not going to go too much, but it increases personal well-being. That's probably the best reason to do this, but there's all these other amazing benefits to doing mentoring. So tool number one, Some of you have seen this before. I'll go through some of these fairly quickly. I'm hoping that we're recording this session at the moment, but we should be able to make the slides available as well. Having a great deal of self-assessment, self-reflection, and being able to look at yourself in the mirror and see where you are on a daily basis, in your career, you know, every couple of months. It's a really good reflective tool to use, is the one I'm going to show you, but it's also excellent to sort of help you see where other people are around you. Now, during COVID, a simple change management curve, and this is one of many, can help you understand why we're feeling the way we are, why the people around you are feeling the way they are, and in a minute I'm going to show you how you help those people. This is my go-to graph. This is the thing I've been using since for a long time, maybe even longer, maybe 30 years, this change management curve. A lot of people will see this as the grief curve as well. You basically, your reaction to change. Now we've just gone through, we are going through a global pandemic. That first even month, we were all in shock. If you weren't in shock, you probably, you know, were in, you know, beautiful Paradise Island that, you know, only 3 people were on and none of you had COVID. There was also a lot of rejection. A lot of people, if it wasn't you, it was people that you knew. It's okay, it won't get me, it's just a cold. Why do you have to work from home? I think I'm fine to work where I am. You know, workplaces working out how they're going to work through things. There was a bit of frustration and anger. I've got so much work, how am I going to get it done? And then we started to go, oh, okay, let's see how this works. We've got people who are supporting us. We might be able to work through this together. This is a junction point, and I hope you're following. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse, but this is a junction point, a very important junction point. If this negotiation phase goes well, it's often quite easy to move over to testing the new reality. Oh, this is how Zoom works. Oh, I can get a really cool background picture in here. Miro, gosh, I thought you'd have to be much younger to be able to work how to use that, but I've learned how to use it. And then you build your way up to the new reality, and the new reality is often better. And people are coming through COVID now, and I hear people saying, I really enjoy not having to drive to work. I'm getting more done from home. I'm still as productive. My team is stronger. All the positives, we're starting to hear those positives coming through. However, if the negotiating phase, it's not necessarily one-to-one, it can be internal, it can be your own internal dialogue, or it could be something that's completely external and foreign. We can sink down into this below the healthy line. I have depression written here. There's a raft of mental health and anxiety issues that can come here. When you identify here that you're heading down, not across, now is the time to bring in a mentor. And if you hit down to below the line, that's when you need to go and get professional help. It's so important, especially when we've got this, they're calling it micro anxiety at the moment. We've got levels of micro anxiety that we're living through in these times. It's to do with the amount of change we've got. It's not about how healthy we are or how brilliant we are. It's just to do with the level of change and the expectations that we have on ourselves. So what I like to do, I think there's a poll coming up. I'd like to know where you are on this curve today in your career. Let's make it quite simple. Are you in the early stages? You're still confused, a bit shocked, it's a bit hard to work, maybe you've lost your job. Are you in 2, where it's, I'm really frustrated, I'm still trying to get through, how do I work, how does this all work, and I've got kids and Melbourne's shut down again, or even worse, I'm really sad, I feel isolated, I'm alone, I'm lost, I don't know where to go. Or 3, I've been really supported well through this change. I've got excellent people around me. I've got tools and the internet and a safe home. I think I'm in 3. So I'm really glad to see that this poll is showing that a lot of people here, and we'll share the results in another probably 10 seconds, Kate. I'm so happy to see that the results are looking like most people are on the right-hand side of the change curve. But I hope you can see that you probably went through stages 1 and 2. When you see it in yourself and you can use this framework, you can see it in other people as well. Yes, thank you, Kate. There's our results. Well done, team. Loving that we've got such a great, motivated cohort here. And you know, for the people who are in 2, it's actually quite reasonable. You're not alone. And yet, 1, I completely get you, because every now and then I feel like I kick myself back in there. It's more self-talk than anything, but your situation might be different. This is a great place to start if you've got a mentor, to take this change graph and say, actually, I'm at 1 or at 2, and I'd like some advice or help. And the great thing about this is, I'm hoping that this will do it. And it's going to pop up. There we go. Some of the answers that you need at each stage, and this is very simplified, yeah, because we've only got however long I'm going to talk for. We've got on the stage 1, what you're looking for, what will help you the most is clarity. Clarity around your situation will help you the most. So ask your mentor to help you pull out all the mess of what's going on right now and get some clarity. If you're in number 2, what you need most is empathy. Of course, there's other parts. You need someone to listen to you. You need somebody to help you through the emotions. Now, if you've moved into this area, to number 3, what you need is new knowledge, new skills, new professional development, which is why you're probably all here today, actually. What can help me keep going? What's going to make it easier for me and my team and the people I work with and the people I live with? That's when we've got a growth mindset. So I hope that makes sense, because normally I'd pause now and look out at the wonderful audience and everybody would nod at me or shake their head, but I'm not being able to do that. So I'm hoping that makes sense. Tool number 2, some of you have seen this again before, but I think it's worth saying. I have this red-blue diagram, and I use this for myself, and I use it when I'm working with other people. And sometimes if I'm red myself, when I'm not being, I don't feel well and my well-being is not looked after, and I feel put out by the amount of work or feeling alone, I can get into the red zone. And the red zone is blame. It's all about me, poor me. Everything's wrong in the world and nobody cares. And it goes a bit like this. Oh, what's gone wrong now? Who did it? It's their fault. It's their fault. It's nothing to do with me. I'm never going to do this again. I'm not going to be a part of it ever again. The situation is hopeless. They're bound to stuff up again, you know, because they never listen to me. Can you hear that? Can you hear how negative that is? And when you hear yourself doing that, now you know to stop for so many reasons. This is the beginning of your spiral down. This is also a barrier to other people coming to help you. If you sound like that to people who are trying to help you, they're not going to continue to help you. So the red circle, when you hear it, stop it. Just stop it. Do it at home. Talk to yourself in the mirror and get it out. Of course, get it out. But how much better, and this is the same, we could give you an example and use, you know, the glass fell off the countertop. It could be a very simple problem. Look, we're all in this together. How do we solve this? I think we can pick up the glass off the floor. Let's do it, because it's really important to us all to clean that glass up. Who's got the skills to do it? Who's got the dustpan broom? We're all contributing to this. It's a family glass, and we'll pick it all up. Or it's a work glass at the cafe or something. Shit happens. Let's deal with it. It's the same communication. It's the same truth. It's just said in a really different way. Blue builds confidence. It opens up options. It lets people in to help you. The power of blue communication, even if you start red. Oh my God, what's wrong now? My boss has rung me. He wants something done in 10 minutes. I can't believe we haven't got this ready. Whose fault is that actually? Who can we ask to help us fix this? We've only got 10 minutes. I know we can do it. And if we do the best we can, I'll let him know that we've done the best we can. And he might say, shit happens, but this is good enough. Do you see how I turn the red to the blue? Really powerful for your well-being, your personal well-being, really powerful for your team if you've got a team, are really powerful if this is something that's really important. So if you've got an accident in the field, or if you've you know, come across some serious people management issues, these communication tools can really bring, facilitate negotiation, help foster trust, and resolve issues much more quickly. And the next time something happens, people will come to you to ask for your help, and you'll be there at the beginning. You won't be at the end finding out stuff. You'll be there at the beginning because people will ask you. I hope that makes sense. I'm happy to talk about this one for another hour. This is the one that probably changed my career the most. Not that I think I was very red, but I listen to now people who are very red. I feel great, a much more empathy, and I give them more time. So this is if you're a mentor. I give them more time, and I kind of piss them off a little bit. Gee, I've sworn twice now. I kind of test their evidence. The situation is hopeless. Is it really? Do you still have a job? Are you still doing the science you love? Are you still working on that project? You know, do you still have a home to go to? Actually, the situation isn't hopeless. This one little thing that happened on a Tuesday afternoon 6 years ago, that was pretty bad. That was pretty awful. But how do we do the next step? Where do we go from here? So I give those people much more time, listen, and hopefully help them get through a situation that then opens up their career, their life, reduces the burden for them. And that's what good mentors do. But everybody can use this technique, especially when you start to hear it. Call it out. I think you're using the blame language. I'd really like you to reframe that question or that comment. Can we just check the evidence behind that? It's really powerful. This happens a lot when people have a difference of opinion. People will often jump into blame because they usually win the argument if they feel more powerful. And if you're the person who has less power or less time in the job, or you know, isn't the boss, these tools can actually work for you. I have a better tool in a minute, but I hope I've given you a few examples of why this is a really important tool. Tool number 3, again, the circle of influence. I won't stay on this for too long. I think a lot of you have seen this and probably will understand. There are things, the circle of influence and the circle of concern. If you spend most of your time and energy worried about things that you can't control, that other people can, or that are outside of what you can do, you are going to spend a long time feeling bad. You're going to self-erode any confidence that you had, and you're going to waste a lot of time. You're also going to put barriers up. People won't know how to approach you if you're worried about everything. Consider changing your focus. Again, be true to yourself. If you are really worried about you know, things that are outside your concern, do something about it. Join a society, write a letter, donate to a cause. So I'm not saying don't do those things, but don't just sit there and ruminate about it, and don't spend all the time whinging about it. Do something constructive, and using the blue language that we've just talked about. Change your focus, because the things that are in your control can make a difference. And if it's important to you, it's probably important to a lot of other people. A proactive focus, a growth mindset, a good, healthy, mature, I've used the word mature and immature. I've taken a lot of time to work out the best words here. A mature, professionally mature focus is to spend time changing what is in your control. Your life improves, you stop blaming other people, and doors start, if they don't open, they start appearing. Okay, it's really powerful. And think about, this is something you can do actually on a piece of paper, writing down all the things that you're really worried about, and then crossing off the things that you really maybe don't need to hold in your basket. Imagine every worry is a kilo, right? And you want to get rid of some of those kilos, because you don't want to be carrying that around when you're doing the best jobs you can. What can you control and what can you influence? Really important. And how are you going to do that? They're green, good, and mature. And also people want to help you. If they see that you're doing something about it, they want to come and help. Oh, how do I do that? How do I be a part of that? That sounds fantastic. I want to join. If you're constantly in this reactive focus, this draining of time and energy, it's not good for you, but it's really not good for the people that are working or living with you as well. So again, I think you're getting a theme here that mentoring is really important, but there's some onus on us making our own changes as well. We can get all these tips and tricks and tools. There's a lot of self-reflection here. There's a lot of work we have to do ourselves. It doesn't get handed to us on a plate. And sometimes I felt battered and bruised by going through some of these things in a much more time than I'm going through now. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was holding on to that concern that weighed 50 kilos for so long. Put it down, do something about it, which is why you see me doing so much in the inclusive culture and women in STEM space. Instead of just whinging about it, I'm doing something, and I'm so grateful for everybody whose support they've offered me and the doors that have been opened. It's just one example. I'm sure you can think of some examples. The key is, how do you catch it? When do you catch it? And don't beat yourself up when you catch it. That's another one. Circle of concern. Stop the beating up. Stop the I should have done this better. I could have done. No. Change the focus. I've realized now that sometimes I've done things not so great. How am I going to change it into the future? Really powerful. I cannot tell you, those 3 top tips that I've already presented are the basis of all my mentoring sessions. I use them all the time for myself, and I use them for every mentoring session and micro mentoring right through to really, really powerful career changing sessions. But we're not over, because I don't know how much time I've got, but I'm going to keep talking. Tool number 4. Be self-aware, and this is kind of a summary of where I've been talking about so far. It's really, really simple. So if you've been sitting there going, I'm really not sure what she's trying to get at, and she's using really strange examples that don't say anything about geoscience apart from that glass is silica. So anyway, I'm not really sure what she means. This is the most simple way to see how things work for you. So most days, several times a day, you get into a habit. Where am I? Am I feeling okay and relaxed? Fantastic. This is the genius zone. This is when you should be making decisions, doing work, writing lists, structuring your day, reaching out to your mentor. The yellow-orange light. My internal voice is getting louder. I'm not happy about this. I'm worried about that. 5 years ago, this happened. I'm sure that they're to blame for the problem I'm in. It's not fair. This is the misunderstood zone. And people don't realize when they get into that is, again, very normal. But if this becomes your predominant mode of operating, there's a lot of noise. And people don't understand how to engage with you, and they don't know how to get the best out of you, and you can get lost in this misunderstood zone. And we often, speaking from personal experience, snow ourselves under with work in this level. We try to be so busy that we drown out any kind of voice or any misunderstanding. We just work our butt off. Not healthy, not genius, not creative, not getting the best out of ourselves. And then there's the excluded zone, red. I am angry. I'm cursing. I'm grandstanding. I'm frustrated. Every time somebody talks to me, I have to tell them my opinion, how hard it's been for me and how hard done by I've been. Fine. Would you like to work with someone like that every day? Especially if you've heard it 3 or 4 times already? I'm being a bit tough. Yep. Do I get to the red zone? Uh-huh. Do I stay there? No. Do I make other people be there with me? I try not to. I move myself to orange and I try and get back into green as soon as possible. Things that move me through the traffic lights are music, a walk in nature, a chat with a friend, chocolate. So the self-awareness that comes along with everything that happens in life, what we're going through at the moment, COVID, you know, people passing away, struggles at work. Work out where you are before you make a move, before you make a decision, and try and get yourself into the green zone. And if you haven't been in the green zone for years, be gentle to yourself, but ask for professional help. And in this case, it's not necessarily for mental health. You might actually need to pay for a coach. You might need to pay for mentoring. So if you realize, if you go, oh my gosh, I've been working in this misunderstood zone for many years, ask for help. And there are many ways to get help. The ASEG run mentoring programs. A lot of other societies run mentoring programs. Your workplace may offer coaching or support. This is when you really need to think about doing something a little bit different if any of these cues mean something to you. And if you've been living in the red zone for a long time, start apologizing. Yeah, it's a good tip. Again, be kind to yourself, but think about how you're going to move from there. You're going to join Taekwondo or karate to get the anger out instead of just, you know, smoldering all the time. And grandstanding, I think people forget what they look like when they're grandstanding. It's pain. We're actually seeing your pain. And people in general just don't know how to manage those things. So I'll move on from the red, green, yellow, orange-ish color. Is a really important tool. I wanted to show you this here. You may have seen this before. If you have been yellow or red for a long time and you haven't put yourself back together, you are pieces on the ground and people don't know who you are. They can't value you or include you or help you. There needs to be a time of healing. The Japanese do this absolutely gorgeous thing where they value the original and they prove it by putting silver or gold or platinum into the cracks. Now, I've got a fair amount of gold in me, right? But this was made to be much more gold. Beautiful. Okay, and this is about being the kindness, the growing, the maturing of you through self-improvement, professional development, mentoring. A poll. We're about halfway through, I think. So have you learned something new so far tonight? And also, I hope that we've got a couple of my dear colleagues and friends here that run professional services, coaching, mentoring, or workshops. I'd be really happy if you could put your work details, your contact details, and business name in the chat now. They have permission to do this. This is not advertising as such. They have not paid. I'm letting them, I've asked them to come here to support me this evening, but it's an important thing to know that there are many people out there. It's not just free. Sometimes you have to pay for these services. I think we've got a couple online. So feel free, those people, to pop your business details in now. And people, if you're interested, take a screen grab of the chat. I don't have the chat open at the moment. So yep, end polling in about 5 seconds there, Kate. So I'll check the chat later, but I encourage you to do that. And if, again, if you know other people who are online, yes, I'm very grateful that most of you have learnt something. I am so grateful nobody's said no. And the people who've kind of, I guess that's because you may have heard most of this before, but I'd be happy to hear more in the questions. So thank you. It makes me, this is just an option because I can't see you nodding or shaking or sitting there confused, and you can't throw rotten tomatoes at me either, which is great. Moving on. My secret weapon. You can't tell anybody about this, and if you work at Geoscience Australia, you maybe already know my secret weapon. How to move beyond where you're stuck. So we approach mentoring because we want to grow and improve and change. So what is it? What's my secret tool for moving past a barrier? Whatever the barrier might be. It might be a person, a situation, a pay increase, or a career opportunity. My secret weapon is to always, my self-talk and my external talk is to use the I'm not going to be able to say that, the comedy rule that demands actors to say yes and to everything. Okay, this is a tricky one to explain right now. I'm going to try my best. Somebody comes to you, they're talking red zone. I'm sure it's their fault. I deserve an apology. I can't believe that they're still in the position to make these stupid questions, these stupid decisions. I'll answer by saying, yes, yes, you're right. And have you thought about, and I'll test some of their evidence. They'll continue in the red cycle. I'm so upset. I can't believe it. I want to leave. I want this to change. Yes, yes, I can hear what you're saying. And let's talk about ways through that. So I'm hoping that I'm giving you some idea of yes and is reducing barriers. It brings people together much quickly and we come to a resolution really quickly. If I completely disagreed, and I often do when people come to me red, it's their fault. Very rarely it's just one person's fault. There's a whole system at play here. There's so many things that we know and we don't know. So instead of saying, no, you're wrong and I want you to become blue and talk like I want you to, I bring people along with me. I listen to them, I agree, and test some evidence, test where they're coming from, ask them questions and listen. I'll leave that with you, but it is my absolute secret weapon. Try it next time somebody comes to you in the red circle, or you can see that they're not doing well. Instead of saying, no, you're wrong, or we should have done it this way, agree with them in the beginning. I see your point of view. Honor that, and then bring them along and negotiate the way forward. Tools number 6 to 10 or 11 or 12, we'll go through quickly. Utilize your networks, please, please, please. I also want you to email your networks and tell them if you want more courses of a particular type. We often get stuck in the mud and say, oh, you know, we have to do a course that's fit for our members. We haven't actually asked our members what they need. Sometimes our members don't know what they need. The Australian the Australian Society, no, I've forgotten who it is, AGC, Australian Geological Council have just told me that they see professional development as the biggest skill set that is missing for earth scientists around the world, but in particular Australia. And they're going to design a program specifically about professional development. Professional development is some of the things that we've been talking about, but again, people management, risk assessment, all those sort of things. If you feel there's a gap in your career, in things you can do, email the president of your society. And if you're not in a society, join one today and tell them what you want. They want to hear. They often just don't realise that's what's missing. So again, if you like this workshop, let them know. Okay, let people know I want something like this. It doesn't have to be given by me. There are a lot of people out there who can give a better mentoring workshop than I can, paid or unpaid. Ask for it if it's relevant. Tell them why it's relevant. And say, as a member, this is what we want. You have very big power. I've joined several associations and I cross-pollinate. It's fantastic. It's good fun. I learn a lot. Again, the self-awareness, self-esteem, health, feedback, and learn how to deal with feedback. Share what you learn. If something today really resonated with you, one thing, share it with someone. Tell them. This helps everybody in the end. I want you to gather evidence about you. Okay, I would love, again, you need to write your list about stuff that you worry about that you don't need to worry about anymore. I want you to write a second list of your superpowers. What is it that makes you special? What is it that people value that you bring to the table? You might not know. So ask someone, what is it that you value about me? Is it that I'm considered? Is it that I'm a good communicator? Is it that I can run an inversion faster than anybody else on the planet? What is it that you value about me? Write this list, stick it on the wall and add to it. This is like money in the bank. When you're going into your orange zone or your red zone, you look at what people find positive to you and you can come back into the green zone pretty quick. Add to it, of course, as your career goes ahead. Also keep an eye out for people you work with and associate with. People are going through all sorts of things at the moment with COVID. And as leaders, as mentors, we need to keep an eye out. I often feel like the little dog on the side, you know, neck up to here in the mud, and it feels like other people are just striding through, but when I talk to them, it's not always the case. So we all go through the same stuff differently. We can learn so much from each other. imposter syndrome. I really wanted to talk about this very, very briefly. What is imposter syndrome? It is the fear of being discovered as a fraud. And it's much more than nerves. It's terrifying. It's an internal dialogue that won't go away. And this is syndrome from The Incredibles. So this is why I need you to write a list of your superpowers. You need to know what your superpowers are to get rid of the imposter syndrome. You need to record your successes and seek feedback and acknowledge your feelings. Sure, feelings. Whoa, we're a bunch of geoscientists. Do we have feelings? Absolutely. I love my rocks. We have feelings. And please keep an eye out for the ASEG organised Inner Critic workshop. It will change your life, I guarantee it. Now, Geoscience Australia people, you've already done this kind of workshop, but people who've phoned in today that haven't done it, this is one of the best workshops I have ever done. And I really encourage you, when the ASEG start to organise, book in quickly. Happiness Concierge run it, and if it works for you and you do the course, please amplify that message. I don't really have time to give you the whole story about this, but I attended an elite training session at the AIS and had one of the best mentoring sessions of my life. Pretended that I was an athlete, sat up the back. I don't really look like an athlete, but the message for me that I'm sharing with you, very brief summary: adapt to your current situation, solve that situation, ask for help, look at the tools I've given you, be consistent, be the person that people can approach, be in the blue zone for communication, be in the green zone, be your super genius yourself. Don't give up. Okay, really, really important. Don't give up. You can choose to change your direction, but don't give up. And if you don't know how not to give up, ask for help. Believe in yourself, because I can tell you there are so many people who believe in you. Celebrate achievements and be grateful for opportunities. Look, I think it's something we all forget to do, especially now, because we can't go to Europe for our holiday, or even down the coast. Definitely can't go to Melbourne. So I hope everybody in Melbourne who's phoned in are okay. We can't do a lot of the things we took for granted, go to the movies and have big parties. So at this time, it's really important for you to celebrate your achievements, your family's achievements, and your colleagues' achievements. And it is a little bit harder. We can't just all stand around and have coffee and cake. We have to be creative and thoughtful about this, but it matters more now. And be grateful for your opportunities. I mean, my biggest gratitude at the moment is I live in Australia. I am so grateful every day that I live in Australia. If somebody comes to me with a huge problem, take a deep breath. It'll be okay. You live in Australia. I'm grateful for the beautiful flowers that still bloom in the middle of freezing winter in Canberra. Really be grateful, and check Netflix out. There's an awesome Brene Brown conversation about gratitude. I also found that to be amazing. So they're really important tips. Celebrate your achievements. And again, if you are still in this misunderstood zone, if you're still working in that, you might not understand which bits were your achievements, ask someone to help you. Or do a timeline like I did at the beginning. Put your timeline out and use symbols and images rather than just words in a resume. It helps you recreate your work history and your sort of, life history. And you'll often see the achievements in that as well. So I finally got to the end, and we will turn the video off now. I'm going to have a quick drink of water and find if I can find where the chat box is. Kate, will you take over? So again,